Right, hello everybody and welcome to the player ratings show. And full time, the Boks getting the victory there, 43 points to 0. And maybe not the best performance, but welcome to the player ratings show. And basically what we'll be doing here is we'll be going through the entire Springbok 23 and giving a rating between 1 and 10. So what I need you guys immediately is I need to get some nominations for man of the match. I need you guys to get some nominations into the comments over there. And then I need you guys to go onto mypicks.app, go to the pinned comment, and go start getting your player ratings in so that when I get mine in, we can get a good fan average. But before we do it, should we break the game down? Springboks 43, Wales 0. A game the Boks were never going to lose, I don't think, and very dominant across all phases, but maybe not as clinical as we would like. And now we really have to start nitpicking if you're almost disappointed with a 43-0 performance. Kings Park is a ground where we don't often always see massive scores. And I think with a couple of better decisions and a couple of better handling moments, we could have probably broken the 50 margin, maybe even the 60 margin. So there's definitely room for improvement, which is good news because the Boks, again, they didn't really have to get out second gear to get the win. More to the point, debut try for Jaco Williams. Some points on the board for Vusi Moyo. Both under 20s getting through the game very well. Thought Ruben van Heerden had a very good debut. Carly Sardi, pretty epic from a scrummaging point of view on debut as well. So it's a big 2 thumbs up from getting a result, getting to the top of the Nations Championship. 3 from 3. Paul de Villiers getting a man of the match performance. So far more positives than negatives out of that match, even if there is definitely room for improvement. Wales at moments, where they held the Boks at bay. I don't think Wales ever looked particularly threatening, but they definitely had moments where the Boks were a little bit more pressured, I suppose, and I think that's good to see. We want to see the Boks, struggle a little bit and have to really work quite hard. So if you look at some of the how the game went, 2 early tries to the Boks, we went racing up to about 14-0. Nothing else really happened after that. We've kind of seen that as a bit of a trend in the last couple of weeks, where we get early points and we don't always kick on after that. And I think there's a certain natural progression that comes with the game of starting strong and then the other team almost a bit shell-shocked starts to rally, starts to kind of come a little bit accustomed to what you're throwing at them. And then you need to start rethinking, and then you start bringing a couple of new points of differences to the game as well, which, the Boks eventually did start to do, which was good to see. That try for halftime, I think, was a nice bit of momentum into halftime. So 19-0 at halftime, and we then scored almost immediately after halftime. You can see the 2 tries right over there. So we raced to a 26-0 lead, which was, we thought we were going to be the start, but then it took a while to get another try. A bit like the first half, where we started strong and then faded off a little bit, and then we started scoring with a bit more consistency, I suppose. 1, 2, 3, and Jesse Creel getting on the board, Paul de Villiers getting on the board, Kurt Lawrence getting on the board, Martin Liebach with a nice assist, Jasper Wiese with a good try. Kobus Wiese looked very good with ball in hand. Nobody really had bad games, and to be able to rotate aside, to be able to give people opportunities and the likes of that is the main thing that we want to be able to do. And that's good to see from that point of view. But John, in terms of some stats over here, we look at overall, Paul de Villiers with the most carries, Fussy with the most meters run, Jack Morgan very big on defense. But over here you could just see possession-wise we had more. Tackle percentage-wise, much better. We didn't lose a single scrum. Our line-out bar one, where Vusi Moyo went a bit early and got penalised for offside, was pretty flawless. 486 meters to Wales 99. 95 carries, 11 clean breaks, and 16 tackles, 98. But the tackles made, no tackles missed actually from the Boks. Well, I think it was actually 8 tackles missed from the Boks. That'll update in a bit. But set pieces in terms of that, scrums were very good, lineouts were pretty good. Didn't concede as many penalties as well, so very, very positive on that perspective. From an attack perspective, when you look at that and you're looking at the offloads, the meters around, the amount of clean breaks, very, very happy. Possession-wise, 56%. Vusi Moyo with the most points. Those are your try scorers over there. Kobus Reinach also off the back of the scrum with a try to his name. Herschel Yankees, what a game from him. Coming off the bench, reminding people what he's about. He really did, I think, up the ante. We had a really, really good cameo, which was good to see. So some very good moments from a Bok point of view. Defensively, Jack Morgan big with his defense. From a South African point of view, Ruben van Heerden topping those charts. He'll be chuffed with that kind of effort. And any coach will look at that snapshot of your set pieces and be very, very happy with what they've seen. So I think that whilst there is room for improvement, in general, there'll be no worries from the Bok coaches. They'll look at that result and say, yeah, maybe a couple of tries, we left a few points out there, but the result was never in doubt. And I think handling will need to improve, and a bit more being a bit more clinical, which I suppose comes with the handling. So there were far too many unforced errors, I think. So it was a little bit sloppy. But when in a situation where we don't feel like we played particularly well, we've got 43 points on the board, we didn't concede any points, and we're sitting here almost trying to find some of the negatives in inverted commas. Not that I'm trying to find negatives, but I'm just saying, that's kind of the general feel. We don't sit there thinking, oh, that was the perfect performance. But it kind of just shows you that the Boks are operating at a level where we demand perfection. And anything less than that becomes a bit disappointing. But even if you look at the players, and we go through our lineup, I thought Malcolm Marx had a really good game. Gerard Steenekamp and Carly Sardi were brilliant at scrum time. Kobus Wiese has grown to that number 4 role, and Ben Jason Dixon looks solid enough coming off the bench. Ruben van Heerden, very comfortable at this level. Maybe a bit of a quiet game for Kurt Janssen before that try. Maybe not the best game, I think, for Apne Lefassi. David Williams that came on definitely did make a big difference. But if you look at our under 20 players, Vusi Moyo and Yaku Williams, I mean, they did not look out of place at all. And that's really good to see. Another try for Jesse Creel, who just quietly goes about his work and picks up tries. So we'll be very happy with things. I mean, you look at some of the stats that the individual players had, and Malcolm Marx, a very good turnover. You look at Kobus Wiese getting through a lot of work, lots of carries, lots of meters made in those carries. Paul de Villiers, turnovers made as well, plenty of tackles, good carrying, good tries. So, there's no one over here when you'll go through, you'll look and it looks like a bad game, inverted commas. Yeah, maybe there were some players who didn't impact the game as much as they'd like. But in general, reason to be happy. And we will be on the top of the Nations Championship log. And that's, I suppose, the main thing that we need to worry about. Right, people, what are we saying in the comments? Let's get, first of all, we need to get our player ratings onto the screen. And then the big question is, have you started doing your player ratings? That's what it should look like. So if you guys haven't, go start doing your player ratings. And again, I need some nominations for man of the match. I'm seeing one for Paul de Villiers, who did get the official man of the match. So we'll have to throw him in there. And but what are some of the other nominations that you guys have got for me? Who else are we looking to give the man of the match shout to? So I can get a poll going. That'll be our official Fair Sports man of the match. Obviously, I'll give you guys my ratings. But we've just become so used to the big score lines, and that's so. I mean, it's 3 games in a row. We've gotten to 40 points. And I think for me, the main thing is we'll have so much information moving forward, in terms of who's put their hands up, who hasn't put their hands up, and where we kind of are as a squad going into the World Cup, and we'll start looking at kind of why that World Cup squad's starting to shape up, because there's definitely players who are putting themselves up for selection, like Paul de Villiers, who I think has really stood up and made himself an option. Kobus Wiese and Ben Jason Dixon, we've really needed people to stand up in the number 4 position and say, I'm an option. I think both of those players have made a good case for themselves. So that's the good news. Then we've got some information about some of our other players, and there's a couple of positions that maybe we haven't been able to lock down as much as possible, but or rather, we'd like to give more depth. But there's no positions where I'm worried about, if that makes sense. There's nothing there I'm going, oh, hang on, this is a worry. Outside center, is a bit of a worry, but only as far as we haven't been able to play anybody besides Jason Creel. But that's simply because of the injuries we've had, with Kane Moody not being available, Ethan Hooker not being available. Those would have been the players that would have gotten those chances. So not overly worried about that, but that is maybe one of the few positions. What are we saying from a man of the match point of view, people? Who was your man of the match? Question mark. Paul de Villiers as an option, and Firefly says Jesse Creel. Where else have we got some other people going? I'm seeing Jasper Visa, Cobus Visa, Peter Steff. Handling was a shocking. Jasper Visa man of the match. I'm seeing 2 for Jasper Visa. I'm seeing another one there for Peter Steff, the toy, so we'll throw him in there as well. Anybody else throwing in there? Visa Brothers co-man of the match. I quite like that, to be honest. I thought Cobus was good. Very, very good. Very pleased to see him step up. Because, as I said, we need options in the number 4 jersey. And if he can make himself one of those options, then that would help us a lot moving forward. What is... Let's get into the ratings. So I think that's the main thing. We need to start seeing where the ratings are at. And Gerard Stennekamp. Well, scrum-wise, you couldn't have asked for more. Misslipped a tackle, but... and conceded a silly penalty. I will concede that. But in general, you can't really complain when the scrums are that kind of good. So I'm going to give him a solid 7. And you guys have gone and given him a 6.8. So we're pretty close over there. Malcolm Marks, another solid game from him. Lineouts were good. Didn't really miss a beat, to be honest. Mates and Meters had a very good turnover. Was part of the really good scrummaging. So I think a solid 8 from Malcolm. Another strong performance from him. Guys going 7.4. I mean, I think he was good. He was very good with Malcolm. And Carly Sardi, in fact, Carly Sardi, I mean, I'm going to give him an H. I'm going to tell you right now why. This player, on debut, made absolute mincemeat of that Welsh scrum. The scrum dominance that he provided was absolutely epic. Tears in the anthems, for his first game. Very emotional day for him. A player who almost lost his life from an injury point of view. Apparently was very close to that being, it almost being a fatal injury. Makes his debut, absolutely hammers that Welsh scrum. Tears in the anthems, goes out and gets the job done. Such a cool story from him. And I'm going to give him an 8. And you guys are at 7.1. I don't care. Yukumas Visa, very, very good. Very good. I thought carried the ball really well. Nice and physical as well, which is good to see. And stood up, which we've needed to see. We needed to see people going and become an option in the number 4 jersey, and I thought that he was very, very solid. In fact, I'm actually giving him an 8. I thought he was very good. Then Ruben van Heerden, I thought very solid. 10 out of 10 tackles, didn't miss a beat, solid at one time. Maybe not as impactful as Cobus Visa, but a very, very solid game. He can be very proud of that debut. I always say, and I remember messaging Vincent Tuka last year after his debut, and I said that the best compliment I could give you is that you looked at home. And that's, I think, what Ruben van Heerden did. He looked at home. It didn't look like the level was too good for him. This man had an absolute cracker. 3 turnovers, I think it was, 9 tackles, offloads, meters made. I'm going to give him a 9. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. The best player in the park by a long, long way. Very, very good. And Peter Steff, the toy. I mean, the man just doesn't stop, does he? Almost had a try towards the end there, but gets through so much work. Always Mr. Reliable. And I'm going to give him a solid 8. Good working out there from Peter Steff, the toy, continuing that stupidly high level of performance. Jasper Visa, well, there's just no number 8 that comes anywhere near him. I think that's the reality. He is in such good form at the moment. He gets us over the advantage line. His soft skills have really come good as well. So he's not the penalty machine that people used to call him. And he's one of arguably our most important player. When he plays, we've got a point of difference. And I think that's, for me, one of the best things when I look at players and players we need and the likes of that. If they're not playing, or if they play, is there a point of difference? Is there a notable difference as and when they play that we sort of see? And I think there is when it comes to Jasper Visa. Kumas scored a try. I don't think it was his best game. I think that, I think that he his tactical kick, I think he was solid. I don't think he was groundbreaking or sensational. I don't think he hammered the door down, but did his job pretty well. Took a good try as well. So I'm going to give him a solid 7. Fan raise over there is 7.5. I'm going a bit lower there. I suppose you got tries. I mean, you get a try, so you probably should get one up. But yeah, Vusi Moya, very, very good. I thought looked very calm. Had a very nice moment where he kept the ball in, went back, grabbed it, went down the line, and almost reached up at fussy. But I thought he just looked very composed. And I mean, I'll give him a 7 as a performance, except for the fact that he's 20 years old. So I'm going to give him an 8 considering the circumstances, because it was a very accomplished debut. And just from that point of view, I'm going to give him an 8 for how young he was to be put into that kind of into the playmaker position. And he coped really well. It was probably a 7 out of 10 performance, but he added a bit of context to that. And that Kurt Lawrence scored a try, was probably a little bit quiet. Probably gets a 6 from me. And didn't set the world alight. Damien Delende, another industrious performance, but also maybe didn't set the world alight. So solid from him. Jesse Creel was good. Scored a try. Got through a lot of work. Probably gets an 8. One of the better players, I think. And a couple of people mentioned him as potential man of the match. So you guys not far off there. Jaco Williams. Well, I'm going to give him an 8 as well. Again, 20 years old. Took his try really well. Took his try assist very well as well. Didn't look like a deer in headlights, and both those under 20 players came through really, really well. And that's very exciting. And that just sort of shows you how good the system is. That these players can come in at such inexperienced levels and just look so comfortable. I mean, they look like they've been playing there for a while. And again, that said, you can't put a price on how big that is, because it is huge. It really, really is huge. And I think Aprele Fassi probably, I mean, kicks him behind weren't bad, but his handling was poor. I made a couple of silly mistakes. And I think that, you know, the only person I've given a 6 so far, and you guys are not far off, to be honest. I don't think he was particularly good. Somebody made the comment that Quine Horn would look at that and be like, maybe I've got a chance at 15. I think the main thing is we know that Damian Willemse is very much the man to go to. Andrew Fenter, I thought it was all right, decent, solid enough when he came on, nothing too special. Bit like that with all our props, really. Jan Andrew Vessels also got through some decent work, but didn't really see his marauding performances. Vilkolo, I think we didn't actually have the scrum dominance we wanted in the second half. So, yeah, I think the replacement scrum not as dominant and not as impactful as what we'd probably like to have seen. Ben Jason Dixon looked pretty solid. I'll give him a 7. I think he was better of the players who came in. His lineouts were good. And he got through some decent amount of work as well. Marco van Staden, one very big carry, which got a yellow card out of it. I thought solid enough, nothing too special. And Herschel Yankees, well, I'll tell you what, he was the player that a lot of people went after and said, what's he doing back in the mix? Why are we going to him? What's he doing here? You know, he shouldn't be picked. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was absolutely brilliant off the bench. I thought he gave us something new. I thought he upped the ante. Took his try really well. It was a great run by Jaco Williams down the right hand side. Pretty straightforward, but you still have to be there. You know, that typical number 9 where he got a good pop up towards Jaco Williams, followed him, got it there, and I think that was really good to see him make a palatable difference. So I'm going to give him an 8 because, yeah, I thought he changed the game a little bit when he came on. We definitely looked a lot quicker and a lot more solid. Martin Liebach, 3 out of 3 tackles, good try assist, 1 out of 3 conversions over there, so not as perfect there. Now, this is, I mean, interesting looking at the log there. New Zealand and South Africa both with 15 out of 15 points. In the Northern Hemisphere, France 12, Scotland 11, Ireland 10. What's obviously very interesting is that obviously we've had the home ground advantage, and now moving forward, the Northern Hemisphere will have the home ground advantage. But I think a solid 7 for Martin, nothing special, but pretty solid. That's all right. And Damian Willemse, yeah, also fine. Made no mistakes, kind of got through the work he needed to. Rusty Erasmus, well, I'm going to give him Rusty Erasmus an 8. And I'll tell you why. In fact, I'm going to give him a 7 because our handling was poor. And we could have definitely improved overall. But I think the main thing for me is the systems that we have created made it so easy for those players to come through and have a good game. Made it so easy for those Yankees to come back and have a good game. And I'm going to give him a 7 because I think our handling needed to improve. It wasn't by any means our best possible performance, but the fact that our systems are just so good is a lot of credit to what Rassie and his coaches do. So there are the player ratings. Now we're going to generate my graphic. I'm going to go across and see what you guys have done for your player ratings. And yeah, I mean, what are you guys? What are the general thoughts over here, people? What are your ratings looking like? Are they higher than mine? Are they lower than mine? Are they much aligned with mine? Are you guys happy with that performance? Are you disappointed with that performance? I mean, could we have played better? Yeah, probably. But I'm not going to be disappointed with that. I mean, I'm not going to be upset with that performance. I think that obviously we want to always play at our highest level, but I also think that you're not going to be 10 out of 10 every single week. So, the conditions aren't in the high fault where it's drier, it's faster. You got the altitude factor, which really helps you drive in that dominance. So you're not always going to have those sort of high scores in the entire time. And if you're going to have a slightly off game or a game where we're kind of a little bit disjointed, then I'd rather it be one of these games versus when we go and play the All Blacks in a few months' time, because you don't want to be off then, and because then you'll get really, really punished. So that's where I've gone. And in terms of the Forever Sports Man of the Match, brought to you by my picks, Portabilis gets your guys' vote. We're going to wrap up there, people. We'll have the press conference up from Wales and then from Rassie Erasmus very, very shortly. So make sure you keep an eye on the channel. We'll also keep you updated on exactly what's happening over at the under-20s. And they are currently... Score update for you is 3-0 after 27 minutes. So close game over there. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe on the way out. Keep an eye out for the junior mock update as well as the press conferences. And